did you want to come up and talk about why you want to serve again? The planning commission, what are some of you guys' best achievements since you've been there?
Well, it's not working. Is it?
We can hear you.
It's
You can hear
yeah,
me? Oh, okay. As a commissioner, I was forward thinking. And I could see what Ben Harbor could be and has become. And as a planning commissioner, most of the things that's developed has to come before us. And we want to make sure that we're getting not so much as a project, but a project that is conducive to the redevelopment of the city. I've been a resident of this area for over 50 years. I stuck my foot in the political waters in 1983. So I've been around, I've seen things, I've done things. I met people, I know people, I've instructed people, I've guided people, and I think with the knowledge and the commitment I've had to this community for all those years, that will be a good fit to be reappointed to the Planning Commission.
questions.
Any questions?
Yes, Madam Clerk. So you can watch the city grow and go down, grow and move forward.
I was here, girl, when it would take 6 months for 100 cars to go down Main Street. I was here. I was here when I was younger then. I had a lot of energy. And there was a lot of things that's going on that I didn't agree with. And I made my opinion known. I was here when Mr. Little was the city manager. I was here, I've been here a long time. I don't come down to the commission meetings now because I'm not the kind of person who will criticize what this commission is doing. So I stay away. If there's advice I can give, I'll give that advice. But saying you should be doing this, no. You gotta learn like I learned. And what I will say, this city is on the mend and it's on the rebound. This current commission has done a wonderful job. My only problem is the minute and the orchestrated division. It shouldn't be a situation where we're scrambling and fighting and bickering over crumbs that fall from the pie to the table when we got the pie.
Right, that's true.
One other thing I'll say is I've seen the condition of this city when it was really, really bad. When it was the worst city in the nation, I was here. What will hurt me to my core if all the work that we have put into it, and when it comes back, somebody else steps in and says, look what I've done. We don't need that. We don't have to have that. We've been running it since the 70s, early 70s, and we can continue to run it. We all have differences. We all have different opinions. We're different people. You know, one of my biggest nemesis when I was a commissioner was Commissioner Henry. But now we're friends. I learned a long time ago that politics, there are no permanent enemies and there are no permanent friends. Your friend today will be your enemy tomorrow in politics. Your enemy today will be your friend after politics.
So you still got the energy then, right?
I have the energy.
That's all I need to hear. Thank you.
All right.
You got one comment.
Yes.
So just based on your experience on the commission and your 50 years of residency, I think you'd be you're a great asset. So I'm excited to see what positive things you'll bring on your reappointment.
Thank you.
Thank you, and I will make a recommendation to send this appointment to the full body.
Consensus, move
Thank
forward.
you, sir.
Can I leave?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You all have a great day.
The next appointment on our list is for the Public Safety Committee, Mr. James Gunther. You have anything to say? Take a seat. Let's talk about why this is your first appointment to the committee, why you wanted to serve, and why you think you'd be a good fit for this particular committee.
So thank you for having me. The reason that I want to serve in this capacity is because I believe work done on the Public Safety Committee aligns with my chosen work, and that's with men and fathers in our community. And I look at one of our major roles, people always say protect and provide. And one of our essential roles is safety. What does that mean? What does that look like? And then how can we kind of interact with our city government to kind of ensure that safety is a priority and that we're participating as well. So that's why I chose to fill out the application.
Any questions for me?
Yes, Mr. Gunther. So, public safety week, I think it's on the second Wednesday. That won't interfere with none of your other.
Oh, no. So I got to ask those questions of Tiffany when she first notified me that this hearing would be happening.
Yes, you need young people like you to serve, to step up, and so I'm proud of you. I think you could be a good asset and bring some new blood to the public safety.
Thank you for calling me young.
Yeah.
I agree. I'm excited to have you.
Thank you.
I think I saw a hand, somebody in the audience had a hand up above. All right. Well, I'll make a recommendation to send this appointment to the full body and,
Yes.
yeah, thank you for serving.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Our next appointment to the Community and Economic Development Committee is Mr. Commissioner Jerry. How you doing, sir?
Good evening, Chair and members.
Real quick, this is the first appointment for this particular committee. You were already sitting on Parks and Recs, which is, we're doing some merging, I think, with some of the committees, and so that is what this appointment is about. You'll also be serving, it'll be one committee, but it just has a different name.
Components,
Yeah, two components to it. Do you have anything you'd like to say about this one, or what do you like? Well, I ask, what do you like the most, or what do you think some of the biggest accomplishments that serving on Parks and Recs has made this past year?
Since I've been on that committee, it's made big strides, historical strides. One, when we received a grant from the DNR for Hall Park. First time in history that park has got a grant. I don't know if it was in kind, but at least in that magnitude. And looking at this appointment to economic development and parks, to me, is like a hand in a glove. With the amount of parks I have been through throughout the city, even some overseas when I went, the park played a big part, not only in the unity of the city and bringing visitors in and keeping families together on certain holidays or just a walk in a park, to see the economic value that each park has brought to that city. In the larger city, each park brings so much money to that individual community. But being Benton Harbor, born and raised here, has always been really actually one community. It hasn't been different ones. But where our parks are built and where they are could be a huge economic development for the city and for the parks. And for me, it just popped in my head when you asked Mr. Gunther where he had time on his busy schedule. And I said, well, if that question came up to me, you can drop everything else. As long as I have something to do with the parks, you can have the rest of the stuff. That's been my passion since I got here. I'll say this, and I've done this an inside joke with me and my cousins. I remember when I first came here, I really only came here for a 1 week vacation. And I went and looked at Hall Park, and I seen it, and it didn't have any swings, just 4 swings. And I wanted to put up 4 swings. And it took a long time, and Lowe's came in. And so the inside joke with me and my cousin, they said they should have gave you 4 swings, and they wouldn't have to deal with you no more. But yeah, park, that's my passion. So I'm not worried about being too busy.
Yes, Madam Clerk, yes, Commissioner Edwards, I know you didn't put a lot into serving. You served on public safety, downtown development, brownfield, dial ride, commissioner, commission with a wish, DJ. You did a lot. You brought a lot to the city. You bring people together. You know, the Blossom Parade party,
Block party.
the appreciation dinner, and just playing your music out there. You know, at the farmers market. So you know, I think you'll be a big asset for this parks. You into the parks. You know. You into all the parks. You know, you didn't put in the work. I think you deserve this chance to do more. You see, you got a vision. So that's what I like that. Plus you said the key word, unity. You know, so that's good. I like to hear that.
And in my spirit, just saying, in my spirit, I had always said, and even when I first started this in 75 with Jesse White, who I don't know if he still is, was the Secretary of State, but he was the founder of the Jesse White Tumblers. But he had a saying, and when he started, he says, if it doesn't feel good to you to do it, don't do it. And he gave me an example, and he said the best example you could give, he said, if you have that Olympic spirit, you can do a lot. And I thought about it, and if you think about it, it's the only worldwide event that has stopped a war. And to give you a good example, even Putin and all the other enemies, leaders, they'll sit next to each other and cheer. They'll stop a war to cheer because of that Olympic spirit. And that Olympic spirit is entertainment, music, competition, pride, and something that everybody believes in. And I want to be number one, not strictly for myself, but they're doing it for their country. And me as a vet, I know exactly what that feels like. I didn't go to war for me, but I went for my country. So when I come back, it's just another fight for a smaller venue. But thank you very much.
Your passion for the parks is very known. Everybody knows it. So I think you're going to be a great candidate.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'll make the,
I'm the chair maybe I missed something, but does this say economic development?
That's on the next, item, we're gonna talk about it on the next item, it says standing committee structure, that's on the next, item. The clerk is gonna address. Thank you, Commissioner. We will,
Thank you.
I'll make a recommendation to pass this.
Boy, this is
Full
getting
body.
slimy.
Thank you much.
Slimy. God,
Okay, Mr. Parks.
Next item on the agenda is the standing committee structures. Ms. City Clerk.
Yes, so the purpose of the new structure, restructuring of the committees is to fit public works in somewhere. And after discussion, it was best advised that public works and public safety would go hand in hand. And that parks was more of an economic development than it was with public safety. So that's the restructure of those two committees. Planning is coming out of economic development because we have a planning commission. So that is the purpose of why those were restructured that way. They are listed in the policy and procedures, so if the legislative committee agrees with the recommendation, then the city commission would have to vote on an amendment to the policy and procedures listing the new committees.
Start the first of the year.
Correct.
Any questions about this particular?
I'm
item?
sorry.
Go ahead.
did I miss something? Can you explain that to me, how you flip those around like that again?
Yeah, it was basically just to try to fit public works in somewhere. That was the main focus on where is public works going to go. And it was best to be paired with public safety, and then parks be paired with economic development. They go more hand in hand with each other.
City
Public
manager,
works and public safety go together.
Correct.
And recreation goes with economic development.
Correct.
Parks.
Yes, parks and recreation would go with economic development.
It changes more than name. It changes some order and as to who's doing what.
we still have to vote on this.
I know we would still have to vote on it, but we still having a conversation about it. I think, unless we already done pegged it in.
Calm down, Commissioner.
Don't tell me to calm down, Commissioner. Don't tell me anything. Because you're not being fair with me, and I'm not liking it. So there's some changes coming to that order. If you change those orders now, think about what's gonna happen if you put those in what committee and what they're supposed to do. Public safety, that's inspection, public works, and the police and fire. Come on. Is that the best thing for us to do?
So my question is, do you have any suggestions? This is a proposal, so it's a proposal,
Then-
but if you have a better suggestion,
Yeah,
suggest that.
if we're gonna change the charter and ordinance, then we can change it and give Parks and Rec its own department, its own committee. We could give Public Works its own committee. We don't have to put it all into one entity. Public safety. That's inspection, that's fire, police. Now you wanna put Public Works.
So you don't consider all of those public safety issues? I'm just asking a question, we have a dialogue.
Everything is public safety issue. You can get public safety issue out of finance and personnel. Yeah, everything about what we're talking about is safety. But I'm talking about dividing this stuff up and not letting it all sit in one basket. It's already overflowing with fire, police, inspection. Let them do their job. We don't have, if we're gonna change the ordinance, change it. But we don't have to put all that on public safety.
It's not changing the ordinance, it's just policies and procedures.
Beg your pardon?
It's policies and procedure, not no
Well,
ordinance.
whatever, if you're gonna change it for something that's gonna benefit the city and not put it in a quagmire where you rolling around and around and don't know which way you're going or coming. And that's happened before.
So I think what the hope was to make the committee structure more efficient by adding Public Works, who didn't have a committee at all. And so by including it with public safety, Public Works has a lot to do with public safety. If lights are down, if trees are down, got a call from a citizen in my ward about limbs that have been sitting for months. And so it's a way to address Public Works in a committee structure. So people can come now to that committee and say, hey, Public Works, which the director of Public Works will be sitting in these meetings now, when normally that is not the case. So it gives the people a redress to be able to say, this is what's happening, and this is how they can work together to solve those issues. So I think it's to make it more efficient and to get things moving, as where it was taking too long and it was all siloed. Now it's being brought together. That is the thinking and the mindset. And again, if a better system will work, then that's fine, but it's just a discussion on how to move the city forward and modernize some of the committee structures, is what the hope was here. And nobody's like said this is how it's gonna be, because we'll still vote on that and have a discussion about it, and so I hear what you're saying. You're thinking, oh, it's gonna make it more backed up, but I think it gives people a chance to address, hey, Public Works Director, blah, 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 blah. They can come to one of these meetings at 5:30. The meetings might be a little longer, but you'll have all of those things on, on that committee agenda to be able to discuss. Because they don't always have stuff from Public Works, and, they don't always have, Parks and Safety. They don't always have long agendas or things in them. So if that, they don't have something, then Public Works there might be an issue, but now there's a way to address those issues and concerns that residents have.
Well, let me ask you this, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you think that all the committees are working, are functional?
I do.
Oh, my God. Okay.
And again, it's
All right, I
always,
just wanted to know if that's what you think. Okay.
if it's not, then you talk about how to make things better.
Well, piling them on top of each other is not gonna make them any better.
So I think that what may be being missed is that before it was no committee at all for Public Works. So it's positive because now there is a forum for citizens to discuss it. So, and this is like a step in the right direction because we didn't have anything. But are you saying, Commissioner, that you think it's too overwhelming for public safety, the Public Safety Committee? Is that what you're saying?
That is exactly, what's wrong? Did I repeat myself? Let me say it in another way so you didn't understand me the first time, first two times. Public safety, parks and recs, fire, and inspection. That comes all out of one committee. If you need parks and recs, create a committee. Create one. Don't overwhelm our committee because like this committee, you told me that I was gonna get something on the agenda. I've been waiting for a year and a half and it's not here and you don't have anything to say about it. It don't function right. And if you put more on to us, it will be less functional. How long did we talk about things in personnel and finance and we're still spinning the wheel?
So Commissioner Henry, Parks and Rec will no longer be part of public safety. Parks and Recs will now be part of economic development. So there still will be Parks and Rec, but it will be paired with economic development instead.
I got that. But Public Works is going where? Where's Public Works going?
Replacing parks on the public safety committee.
If anybody see the work of Public Works and the functioning of Public Works,
And that's what this is about.
you think that's gonna fix it?
I believe it will. That's
All
why
right, I'm through.
I support this.
I'm waiting to see.
Okay.
Don't let me tell you how I bite you. I'm a wait and see, but I still have that opinion that it's a waste of time to make our committee so burdened down. I'm through.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A couple things. You addressed some of it already. Some of it's already been addressed. So that committee, it possibly will look like there will be at least a representative from Public Works on that will show up, correct? And then there'll be 2 people appointed from public for public support, correct? So that will still take place, okay? But here's where I kind of have to say I side with the commissioner from the 3rd Ward, is that if you look at tonight's agenda, it's already in print, okay? It's already in print. It says communication and public relations together, got that. Economic development and parks on the 4th Wednesday. So it's a little bit, putting the cart before the horse, and then public safety is with Public Works. It's already here. So without it being vented, without it being, brought to everybody's attention and brought to the full body, I just find this to be a little bit cart before the horse or horse before the cart. But yes, we do need somebody for Public Works to be here, because there's been many times that we've sat here and someone says, my fire hydrant doesn't work. So then they have to go through their channels and they're busy over there. And, who knows if it gets filtered over to Michi or anybody over there,
Excuse me, but somebody is already here from Public Works.
Okay. I get that. But what I'm saying is, when people sit here and complain, I got a tree down, I got no lighting in my back, in my alleyway, and it goes through that channel, how do we know that it's getting over? It's good that we're going to have somebody here who can, okay, write that down, make a list. So that's a good thing. I think it's a good thing going in the right direction.
So,
Okay.
but I would disagree with, the reason it is in this committee is to talk about the structure. So that's why it was presented, hey, this is what we're thinking, but.
Well, usually those are normally listed as discussion items.
Yeah, it is a discussion. item.
No.
It is a
Where does
discussion.
it say that here?
That's what I'm saying it is.
Okay, but I don't see that here. Okay.
That's a fair observation. I appreciate it.
Okay, it's not here, and that will lead other people to be that this is misleading, that it's already done. Okay, that it's signed, sealed, and delivered. And I know that's not what you're trying to do, and I know it's not what we're looking to do. Okay, but it could be misleading. I just wanted to address that. So we stop these street rumors and possible, someone's trying to do a side move here. Okay, I know. Okay, okay, thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead. Come up there. The reason why we ask is so that people that's listening can hear. And if you want to talk on this item, please come sit up so that the people that's listening on YouTube can hear.
So I just want to preface this by saying I don't want this to come off as like I'm being disrespectful anyway. So one thing, and one of the reasons why I kind of pick and choose meetings I come to, we never assume good intentions. I think for a long time, like it's like really disheartening how even for this, like it's a conversation. So why do we have to say in the room, right? Why do we have to say in the room that that's the intention when that's what we're doing?
And I'll say to your point, there has been things that have happened to us as a city that we weren't a part of. Community development principle 2, 4, and with. And so in Benton Harbor, there's a lot of things that have happened to us. And so the response has been, distrust, mistrust, looking sideways. So that's why the response is, because so many things have happened to us without any input from us. And so that's where, and it's just a matter of healing from those kinds of things. Especially the longer you've been around, the more hurt you have.
That makes sense.
Things being done to you versus including you in those things. And so that's where that comes from.
That makes sense. But with that being said, I actually do think parks should probably be a solo committee, my opinion. But I see strong alignment between public works and public safety. So for instance, like, I even brought something one time about crosswalks by schools. But that being something that public works would do, but something that public safety probably would decide, maybe. I don't know how it works, but I just see strong correlation between those two things. So I, as a potential member, right, I think it makes a lot of sense to have both of those things together. Because something could be decided that it's in the best interest of public safety. But then if you have to go to a separate committee meeting to say, Public Works, you should do this, right? We just created, like Commissioner said, a quagmire, if you will. So that's just how I see it.
Thank you. Thank you for your comments.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir.
someone over there wants to
No,
speak.
let me hear you first, sir.
Just so it's clear, these meetings are not for people to wait a week or a number of days, have something on their mind and come in here to voice those opinions. When they have a problem, those problems should come to my office immediately and be distributed from my office to be taken care of by the rest of the city staff. Not to wait until you come into a committee meeting or wait till you come to a commission meeting.
Well, the case has always been that people can't reach City Hall.
That's not the case.
City manager, I beg the difference. I get calls all the time that I've tried to reach out to City Hall, nobody responded to me, or nobody called me back, nobody emailed me, so I'm sorry, that's not the case. And every commissioner can say that, I know what you're saying, I did it today. So I know that it's not always being.
It might happen sometime, but it's not a regular occurrence. We keep a law.
But it happens, city manager. It happens.
I'm not gonna get into it.
No, we're not, because that, a lot of residents have experienced non-response, lots of them,
Point of order.
lots of them,
No,
lots of them.
I want to be last. I always want to be last. You guys talk so much.
I don't talk that much.
I was talking about you.
I'm kind of like in between on the parks and economic development and to the regard, I'm kind of like with Commissioner Henry. I have said this way before, parks should become park district. But I also see the other part of the economic development, because I'm looking at how many vacancies on other committees. And if we take each department and give it to its own committee, how many more vacancies will we need? Right now, we need 24. And if we had the interest of more residents, I wouldn't even have to be probably on a committee except stated as a charter where you would have to have one commissioner. But unfortunately, reality is reality. We still need 24 people to get these going. So I'm all for each one having their own standing responsibilities, but I'm also at this point not ready to experiment with, let's do it now and we still need 24 just to do that committee. Right now we see a young interest in James Gunther, so that's one step ahead. But to get the rest of these and then get everything going, I think then we can probably consider each committee standing alone. Plus, the more committees you have to think of this, especially when you talk about economic development, the more committees you have, that's more in-house expenditures. Paperwork, ink, pencils, Tiffany, Mitchell, everybody. It's more pressure if everybody is standing alone. So at this point, I would say if we can reduce some of those vacancies, yes. But as far as economic and parks going along together, like public works and public safety, it does. Because you have to remember, parks are not just parks. They're a huge economic participant in any city. They bring in a lot all year round, providing they provide the services and programs. But that's my intake on the breakup. Thank you.
I have a question that I don't think was asked before. Mr. Duncan, if you want to come up, so you got your hand up for a question.
Go on. Go on. I'll wait.
Is there, just looking at the structure, was a sample used from another community?
No.
It was just, we just looked at overall. Okay.
Every time it comes to the parks, which basically has a lot to do with us as a people, we have a problem. Problem is, we need our own park system, and that's what you guys are really needing. And for us to put it with anything else, it's like a little, to me, and I'm from here, a long time from here, I think it's disrespectful for it not to be a park and recreation in Benton Harbor in the first place. And now is the time, in this day and time, for us to have a system, a park system of our own in Benton Harbor. And I know you guys are young, know everything, got your own opinions and everything. And I always cherish other people's opinions because this would make me feel like I should think past theirs, add to it, subtract from it or whatever, and try to make it better. The only thing it is to do as a citizen is to try to make it better. But I've had so many wrestling matches in here with egos and that it's irritating. And that's what you get from me when I get like this. I'll talk to Commissioner Isom, and I don't say anything mean to him or nor do he say anything mean to me. And that's what I appreciate out of people that's really trying to do something. But when I see that you could try harder, like put our own system, put up some gyms for these brothers, let them run them. We penny pinching when it comes to us. And you guys smiling because that's what y'all do. And y'all make things happen sometimes. But what's important is parks and recreation and our own system in Benton Harbor. Whenever you guys get through talking and doing what you're doing, think about we got Boys and Girls Club, and I have nothing against that. But our Y, you know what? Remember what happened to our Y in Benton Harbor? No, you weren't even here. Now it's Benton Harbor, St. Joe, Y in St. Joe. It's named that too. So you guys do what you want to do. I know you always do, but you can't just keep disregarding the wishes of the citizens. Thanks for hearing me out.
Madam Chair,
Yes, sir. Go ahead.
the one recommendation I'd like to make on the title is called the Parks and Recreation.
I mean, Economic Development and Parks.
Parks and Recreation Committee, yes, ma'am.
Is there any more comments on this particular item? Any comments? Go ahead, sir.
Okay, Mr. Roberts.
The only thing I would not add, I guess I would mimic a little bit, was is the way the agenda. The way the agenda is written, and it wasn't clear that in your mind discussion was the goal. One word on your line A, standing committee structure proposal or discussion would have changed the tone in the room, I think, and you got that. I think you understand. And it's great to have discussions on things, but if everybody kind of comes with a chip on their shoulder, then discussions kind of fall apart. And it's great to have discussions. Nobody's trying to push something over on everyone. I think we're trying to accomplish the same thing and move forward. So we get kind of stuck in a rut, I think, quite often. So it'd be great if we could get beyond that. Then all these committees could function effectively and we could advance.
I think that's it. Yeah, I think the structuring is the best for the city, work best. I think because of this is our policy and procedure right here, the way it is now. Personnel and finance, public safety and recreation, legislative, planning and economic development. So we need to get public works in there somewhere. It's much needed to get public works in here. We can keep up with what's going on, just like we keeping up with finance, public safety, legislative and economic development in Parks and Recs now. I think this restructuring will help provide the services for the city and get the what we need to make it work and run better for the residents. Thank you. I will support this.
Park and Rec, it's winter and getting colder. Is there a pay raise on the agenda for those guys? Yeah, and you don't have to answer that now. I just would like to just say that for them because I know it's cold out there and I know the work they do is worth a lot more than what they're getting paid. So, thanks. I'm talking public works.
Is there any more
Public
comments or
works is
questions
what I'm talking about in
on
case there's a
this particular item
misunderstanding.
before we propose changes to,
Okay, consensus.
any other proposed changes, Commissioner?
Now, this is something that's supposed to be on the agenda and everybody's supposed to have something to read and talk about it in their hand. We had a big discussion about it the last time with the attorney here.
Oh, you on the other item.
What you talking about now?
We was talking about this one, so
Oh, shoot.
say that we'll move this item to the full agenda for voting.
Consensus, yes.
I agree.
Wait a minute.
Back to that.
Yes, ma'am.
Item B,
Oh, it's that Brownfield, I didn't see anything.
so this is more of a kind of like an FYI on the brownfield, because currently we have two commissioners that are serving, Commissioner Adams and Commissioner Edwards, which are both leaving us. We do have two newly elected commissioners that are also serving.
Mhm.
So by virtue, those two, Commissioner-elect Warren and Kennard will take over the position of the commissioner on the brownfield. Adams and Edwards will still remain on the brownfield, but by virtue will not be commissioner representatives. So that was kind of just an FYI on.
So we don't need a resolution?
So we don't need to do anything because by virtue, they're taking over as commissioners. And then there are two of them just replacing the commissioner representatives, and Adams and Edwards will both still remain on the committee.
They agreed to stay. Good.
Thank you.
And it's actually, I don't know if I did, it's actually a switch between me and, incoming Commissioner Santana Warren, because she's already on the brownfield as a citizen
And
rep,
same
so
with-
actually we'll just be making a.
The same with Adams and Kennard, it will just be a
Okay. Thank you so much. The next item is the responsible contractor policy.
There's no background information. There's no extra information from the attorney. As far as I'm concerned, her opinion was definitely flawed with Abermarsh's how they felt about the contract. And, I would like for you to bring it to the full body. You either vote it up or vote it down, and let the people see really where your vote lies. Because this is something that's gonna take any community way further, from the federal government down to the state. That's what everybody's doing, and we might as well get on board. And because the old way has not worked for us. So,
Can we get a copy of the contract or whatever?
There hasn't been any changes to
Changes,
it.
okay.
Yeah, the city commission did table it to this committee.
Go ahead.
I just wanted to say, I do recall the last discussion that was held on that here, in which the city attorney pointed out that there were many extra steps and pieces to this that was going to make the process a lot more difficult. And I recall saying myself that if that was put in place, and we had to follow it in CDBG, we absolutely will not be able to spend the money on the timetable that HUD wants us to spend it on. And that was my closing comment on it. We're already under the gun with trying to meet spending requirements, and we're struggling to do it now already because HUD itself has so many regulations and steps and things. As a matter of fact, I spent an hour yesterday on what they call BABA, Buy America, Build America, which is fixing to go into effect, that will require us, if a project is over a certain size, to be sure and insure and document that any steel and whatnot is bought, is actually produced here in America, and that if it's after, I believe, March of 2024, then if it's a manufactured product, even the windows that we put in the houses we're rehabbing and so forth has got to be manufactured in America. And that we go through just tons and tons and tons of that stuff. We don't need to add anything more.
Madam Chair, I don't believe that the responsibility contract asks for assistance from economic development. I'm not sure where Mr. Little was coming from, that maybe he was expected to do something in the process.
May I answer what you're asking?
Yes, I do need you to answer.
The responsible contracting process puts a lot of additional steps. When we do, for example, sidewalk project, there is already and Avonmarsh just happens to be the people that are doing it, wouldn't matter who was doing it. They have to put together a set of bid specifications that have to go out. Now, this responsible contracting thing puts a lot of additional steps that have to go into any bid process, any contracts that you let and so forth. And that applies also to ours, whether we're talking about sidewalks or demolition. As a matter of fact, I'm going through the process right now to try to put bids out for demolition. Again, I did it 2 weeks ago, but just exactly what we're talking about. Some steps were omitted and we had to go back and do it again. But that's what it is any contract that the city would propose to put out, doesn't matter whether it's streets or sidewalks like we're doing, or housing, or any of it. All that extra stuff has to go in there. We don't have time to do it. We've already got the biggest set of requirements anywhere with CDBG, just as an example. And most of what CDBG requires, because it's federal, is also required by all of the other federal funding sources that come in. If we have to start doing that stuff for the contracts we do for Ox Creek, if we have to do it for CDBG, if we have to do it for the GLRI that's gonna be down there, we'll never make it.
Well, other communities make it, and they and their citizens are included in the process of growth and economic development. And so for us to sit here for 30 years with resolution after resolution asking to make sure that our residents are included in the process, and it never gets to be, we've got 25% of contractors goes to our contractors as a subcontractor. We got Section 3. None of those have worked for us. And we've had apprenticeship programs in Benton Harbor, Michigan for 20 years, and then none of them work. So now the state is giving money for apprenticeship. The union are using apprenticeships. If we don't change our direction, we're going to keep going in that spiral that we've been in for this years. Our people get nothing when we do nothing for them. It's not acceptable not to look out for the human infrastructure. There's money in Biden's budget for human infrastructure. Those are our people. Those are the homeless. Those are the seniors. Those are the homeowners. Those are the kids. Those are our people that we have to make things work for them. And a responsible contracting will allow us, and they have also have some technical skills that they can come in and help us. They're not just saying, you do it all by yourself. They're coming to help us. So if we don't do something for our human infrastructure, if all we think about is brick and mortar and what we have to do, and what's working is not working, then we need to change our ways. That's just it. And we've talked about this for a long time, and I don't see, I hear the clerk saying she needs to do extra steps. It did require her to do some extra steps. I did read that. I read the contract pretty good. It's going to require everybody to make a change. And when we change, and it's for the people, that's a good thing. But if you keep going the same way, we're never going to get that apprenticeship. We're never going to get those talented, trained tradesmen. We're not going to get it. They have not given it to us in 25 years. Carpenters, laborers, all of those, they have eliminated us out of it. And this is the time that we can put Benton Harbor back on the map for human infrastructure. We gotta take care of our people. Thank you.
Thank you. Go ahead.
I would just say, I support the concerns that you're raising, but this is not the mechanism to do it, is what I'm trying to say. This mechanism will have
I disagree with you.
absolutely no impact on it. To have a carpenter apprentice, you gotta have a working carpenter. And that means you gotta have, and somebody's gonna have to pay the cost of the additional time for training and whatnot that goes on with that, over and above the classroom training component. But I'm talking when you get to the on-the-job part of it, that has to go in somebody's contract. And I'm saying these things are needed, but we still, I've said it over and over again, we don't have the workforce to do that. If you had if we had a contract going and somebody was looking for apprentices, they can't find them. We don't have the people here.
That's because we have nothing set up to even encourage them. We have nothing set up for them to even get involved in it. This process will put us in the mix where we'll have apprentices going to training, and when we spend that $100,000 of federal money and we should supposed to be using our Section 3, they will be available to us.
Respectfully, I'm saying the them you're talking about don't exist. We don't have them. 36% of your population is 19 years and under. They're in school or drop out or whatever, but they're not in the workforce. And 20% is elderly. You got 1,400 people that are disabled. You don't have the workforce here for apprentices or the job.
Well, maybe you need to bring some of those 2,000, 20,000, 10,000 people that you want to come back into
Yes.
the community. Maybe they're the ones that's
And
gonna
then you'll
do
have.
the jobs. But whoever it is, it needs to be a Benton Harbor resident, and it needs to have the opportunity to grow and take care of family.
I agree.
Right now, there is no jobs, but we can create some through the responsibility contracting policy.
That's not a job creating mechanism.
It's not,
Y'all supposed
It
to
will in the long run.
it's not.
Because, what do you mean it's not?
So as he talked about the mechanism, I actually agree, because the mechanism, you need to work with a school, or you need to, I know the school has been discussing some virtual platforms that introduce the kinds of jobs that you're talking about virtually to kids. Look at even at third graders, starting there to introduce them to concepts. They have these virtual programs to actually get them engaged earlier. So as they move through the educational system, they'll choose one of those things. So the platform that you're talking about won't be done through a policy, because you have to have a mechanism through which to work through in order for the policy to work. And so we don't have that mechanism in place in our educational system, specifically in Benton Harbor yet, for that to be the case. I worked at.
But we do. We have, right now, we have 2 to 3 apprenticeship programs that are right here in the community working. Money flowing down from President Biden. So why are you saying there is no mechanism? Because there is a mechanism.
That's one, but the one that you need to hit in our community is starting at grade level number 3.
Well, that's
To
the
actually-
school, that's
That's my
the
point.
future, 10
All of this
years
is
in future. But I'm talking about right now.
But it still has an educational component, Commissioner.
It does, and that's why the responsibility contract,
That's a
they
policy.
train the people. They give them the skills to be what they need to be in trade. They're giving them training.
So I think I had said this when we discussed it before. When you look at this, you look at it by what's currently going on today. And I think Mr. Little has said it a couple of times as well. If you don't have, like, the workers, we don't have it today. Now, maybe we might have had it 10 years ago, 5 years ago, who knows what the future will hold, but we're looking at what's going on right now. And I think that's what Mr. Little has explained a couple of meetings, including today, what's going on right now. I mean, he brought up a couple of key things that's very important, that we have to use our money. So if we create more work, we can't use the money. That's a huge call out. We have to address what's currently happening. Do we have people? So we may have an apprentice program, but where are the people that's gonna do it? And right now, as Mr. Little brought up the statistics, where are those people at? So I don't think anyone is saying that we will never need what you're saying. I just think at the present moment, it is not logical, in my opinion, today. Now, 5 years
Well,
from
can
now,
you
it
tell
might
me
be.
why it's not logical, in your opinion?
If you wanna repeat.
I'll gladly.
No, I wanna hear from you, because you the one said, in your opinion. What's
So
not
I'm
logical?
just gonna repeat what, if that's okay, what Mr. Little has said today, and also he said it before in other meetings. So when you're thinking about the current workforce of the city of Benton Harbor, Mr. Little has brought up several statistics about ages and who we have that will be readily available. I also have brought up at other meetings when we discussed this, things that I have done firsthand, how I've had a unions and trades career fair and I couldn't get people to come. Another group has had another unions and trades career fair. We can't get people to come. So you can have 1 million programs out here, but if you can't get people to be an apprentice or join the program, how is it benefiting anybody if you don't have the people to join the program at the present moment?
Well, that's why the responsibility contract policy, they have experience. They have union workers. They have hundreds of people that go to work on different assignments every day. They do that work. So they are going to give us technical assistance. They're not just gonna let us sign on and not have some help. So once we're set up, there's a new day in Benton Harbor. Then we have hope for people to come. So yes, it might have not worked for you, but they have experience in this and they know what they're doing. And I just think that if we don't do something, we're just gonna continue to go down that spiral hole that we're going, that it's not working.
Let me just say, Commissioner, and to everyone else, that is why we're working so diligently to rebuild our neighborhoods and our communities, get people back into the city of Benton Harbor. Alex has stated several times about the population having been close to 20,000 people a few years ago. Now it's down to less than almost 9,000. That's a big loss. And the only way we're gonna get it back is build homes and get people to come back to stay in this community, to educate themselves. This contract, nothing's gonna work if people not gonna wanna do it.
That's absolutely right. But you definitely have to have the opportunity to do it. And if we
Well, I didn't want to bring this up, but one of the big opportunities is available down the street. And we have people that won't take advantage of that.
Well, you have to realize the trauma that our people have had down the street.
I'm one of those people.
Well,
So
there's trauma. Our people go through trauma one day, every day, for something. Oh yeah, and some people have a record, and some people don't want to be bothered with them anymore. I got a guy, he's been through 5 programs in his lifetime in Benton Harbor. He passed all of them, and none of them did anything for him. Now is the time for us to change this process. Put something in place that works.
what you doing?
I beg your pardon?
You might be yelling at me. I just asked, what's he doing?
You asking me what I'm doing?
Madam Chairperson, I'm going to leave in a moment, but the last thing I wanted
Oh, what
to
is the person?
comment on was that the programs that, this responsible contracting program we're talking about, it works in Grand Rapids, population 200,000. It works in Detroit, population almost 700,000. It works in large cities where not only are there many, many people available to participate, but there are also many, many contracts going on that they can participate in. But we don't have that. That's the only point that I'm continually making. And all it would do would be to add, those cities have hundreds of people working in City Hall and wherever else to do those things. Here, we got one person doing this and one person doing that. We don't have time to do all that extra stuff that this thing will require for no result. This is not gonna have any result. There's nobody to take advantage of it. We had enough problems just trying to get people to be available to work on the lead line replacement project.
I've missed some of this. I've certainly caught your interest and everyone's interest in training our residents to be capable future workers. The Responsible Contractors Act is their component in that act that assures good wages or proper marketing wages, and also oversees work quality. That seems like those are two components that aren't discussed here, but I'm sure they're in everyone's mind. They happen to us daily in the work that's going on in town. Just curious if that's a component in this. I think it is.
While it's written in there, it's exactly like it's written in the HUD regulations and all the other regulations that require us to go through all kind of machinations to demonstrate that the prevailing wage is being adequately addressed, and that other provisions like that require tons of paperwork and so forth in order to be able to do it. But here again, if you know you don't have those things, why add extra burdens to it when you're already struggling to try to do what's already required?
And this didn't just come about with this responsible contracting. This has been years in the making to get to where we are now.
Could we scale this goal down to assuring that work is done and standards are well placed so that work that is done to proper standards and specs? That seems to be
We do
It's
that.
already built in every contract.
there's lots of examples of mediocre quality. If that's a component in this, if that's a goal, maybe we don't do the whole thing, but we figure out what is important to us or what we're capable of now.
You know, this has nothing to do with standards. It has components that deal with things related, as she said, to trying to get employment up. And it's good, except that it just doesn't fit our situation.
I'm just reading other components of the responsible contractors concepts that aren't related specifically to employment, but quality and other things, which I think we would benefit by pursuing.
We always work to give quality work.
I know
You
I know that's a goal.
That's a goal.
That's a goal, and that's what we do. That's why we have engineers and
Say
people
it's a goal.
to go behind this work before we pay. But
Well,
you can shake your head
no,
if you disagree.
I'm sorry that,
I'm talking to the commissioner here,
oh,
but
I'm sorry.
it's okay to disagree. But we have people that sign off on it, sign their reputations off on this work.
Doesn't seem to work in my
Well, good.
observation.
Thank you. You joined her.
I don't mean, I'm independent.
I understand.
Point of order.
I need to leave, but I just need to bring attention to everybody again. The roof over at Bobo Brazil has blown off, and the rubber seal is still since August off on the far back corner. Can we get Public Works down there to sandbag it, put that rubber membrane back down before we get the snow and everything of the thaw, and put sandbags down on there? So, yeah.
Where is it?
It's on the top roof of the Bobo Brazil, the corner that sits towards Hall Street and, thank you, southeast corner. It's flown up. Pardon? I have brought it up, but I don't want another season to go by. If someone can get up there and pull the membrane back, that's all it needs to be done, and sandbag it so no more water comes in for the next season. I need to leave. Thank you so much. You can see it from the street. It's really easy to see. Yeah, just go up the hill. Thank you.
All right. Thanks for this conversation, but I just don't think it's ready to go
You don't think it's ready to go where?
before the full body.
Well, what do you need to make it go? Then I would suggest you to give the commission the opportunity to show the people where they're really
So,
coming
Commissioner, I
from.
will say this.
Bring it out of your committee and let us vote on it and solve it. If we don't want it,
Yes,
we don't want it.
It was tabled from the commission
okay.
to this committee.
So we can send it back to the committee, to the full commission. Is there any Consensus on sending to the full body?
Consensus. Everybody got the information?
You got us tonight.
Everyone's in front of you.
Thank you.
All right. Good meeting.
This meeting is adjourned.
I'm going home 2 hours.